Hi, I'm Belinda Carley, Director of the Institute of Personal Care Science, and this is video 3 in our colour matching presentation. So please make sure you've watched the first 2 videos first, because this one's quite advanced. I'm going to assume you've watched them first so that I don't recover some old information. Now in this particular video I'm going to show you how to colour match a lipstick. Now this is much harder than colour matching a foundation, for example, because in a foundation product we could have some shimmer or some sheen effect pigments. We do need to determine coverage, but we also really know we're only going to be working with iron oxide red, yellow and black. So we already know which pigments we're going to be using. However, when we're trying to colour match a lipstick, we now need to add in all sorts of other colorants to create particular shades, shimmers, sparkles, gloss. There's so much more variation that can be added into a lipstick product. So this is a much harder colour match product to begin with. The very first thing you need to do is create your base. So you'd actually create your base and then you would test it for hardness, you would test it for payoff, you would test it for other varying factors with just a standard amount of pigment to make sure it performs the same way as the benchmark product. Once you've got that base product, you would then create plain base. Now this plain base has no colorant added. It's the lipstick base that we're then going to use to colour match to create the varying shades of the range as required. And as an example, I've already measured out some base that I'm going to use in this very first colour matching sample. So we need to first determine which colorants we're going to use to create our product. Now, as an example, in this jar, I've simply taken some sample of the benchmark product. It was a lipstick. I've squashed it now so that it just, all I'm focusing on is the colour. Remember, I've already tested my base to make sure it's going to have the right amount of payoff. Now I need to focus on the colour and the intensity of colour that's delivered on each application. Here is the benchmark product. The very first thing I need to do is determine which pigments I'm going to need to create this particular product. So I'm going to apply a small amount onto the back of my hand and have a look. One of the things you should be able to see straight away is there's quite a lot of sparkle. Yes, you can add gloss through the use of various glossy esters to your base product, but in this case you can see that that high impact gloss actually comes from sparkle pigments. I can see that there would definitely be silver sparkle in here. You can see that because of the white reflect. It's also quite an apricot tone, and since there's so much sparkle, I'm going to guess that there would be some gold sparkle in here as well. The gold sparkle combined with red is what will give me that beautiful coral colour. If I was to just add silver sparkle, the product could appear quite white or luminescent white in its character. This, by comparison, has quite an apricot tone, so I know that there would definitely be some gold and some silver sparkle present. There's also likely to be some iron oxide base, but not a whole lot. I know that there's going to be some iron oxide base in there to give me the opacity of redness. My sparkles are going to give me some opacity as well, but the only way I'm going to get that very high lift is by using some organic colorants, some FD&C colorants, to give me that really intense lift to that hot pinkish reddish colour. Now I don't want you to be confused at this point. When I say organic colorant, I'm talking as a chemist, so it means it contains carbon compounds, compared to inorganic colorants, which are your iron oxides, which do not contain carbon. Please do not be confused and think that I'm talking about FD&C colorants. They are organic pigments. I am not calling them organic for any reason other than the chemistry that makes them up. They contain carbon. They are not certified organic. There's a big difference. Please don't be confused on that. Again, in your written learning materials we do clarify that for you, but some people may perceive, if you're new to this industry watching this video, when I say organic pigment, you might think I'm talking about something that's suitable for a certified organic product. That's in fact totally the opposite case. FD&C colorants are not permitted in certified organic products. But it doesn't change their basic chemistry. They contain carbon, therefore they're considered organic chemical compounds. So when I say organic colorant, that's what I'm describing, not certified organic. Okay, so how do I then pick which gold and silver sparkles? How do I then pick which iron oxide? And how do I then pick which organic colorants I'm going to use to create this product? We use color charts. Now these are the color charts. You'll see these in your Dropbox. As a student with us, you'll have access to various amounts of color pigment brochures from various suppliers. For details of the Dropbox access, refer to your student email. Now in here you will see all sorts of different effect pigments. How do I select? Well, there is quite a big sparkle in this product, quite a lot of a gloss reflect tone, so I know I need to pick quite a high molecular weight sparkle, and that will give me the biggest sparkle effect. I also know that I'm going to need some sort of iron oxide reflect pigment, again to help build on that gloss factor. There's a lot of gloss and sparkle in this product, so I would start by using a material like this. Now remember, from your learning materials we talk about 2 color bars. The top bar being how the pigment will look when it's dispersed in a white base, and the bottom one how it will change when dispersed in a black or a grey base. So this is what these 2 different colorants are. So I would pick a material like this. I then need to get the required lift. Now color matching is definitely a time to be prepared to get your hands dirty. So I would start by looking at various color charts for my FD&C colorants, and then I would simply apply a very, very small amount onto my hand to see if there is any way that tone would give me the lift. Now remember, this is a very intense, straight application of the colour, but what you will see, it's got quite a high candy orange effect, and that will potentially, with a duller iron oxide, give me this shade. So what you've seen me determine now is I need my base, I need some silver sparkle, I need some gold sparkle. I'm going to be adding an iron oxide that also has sparkle element to it, and I'm going to be adding quite a hot candy orange FD&C colorant to help give me that lift. Now when you're creating the very first shade of a range, it's usually the hardest work to get the right pigments. So we're just going to get straight into it. You'd do the same thing in your lab just to get started. So now I've just mixed some product together. You might at this point be wondering, how did I know how much of each to add? I don't. So I've only added very small proportions to see, first of all, have I selected the right type of pigments? And second, how much I'm going to need in my base. So as an example, here is the benchmark product, and here is the product I've just created. We can see for a start it's far too flat, there's not enough coverage, there's not enough colour. What I want to do now, I'm going to add some of the FD&C colorant so that you can see just how much that FD&C will really bring that colour, lift it right up and give it the intensity it requires to achieve this shade. I am still going to need to add quite a lot of the red sparkle, the gold sparkle and the silver sparkle because there's not enough coverage yet. They'll give me the coverage, my FD&C will give me the lift. So now I'm going to mix this in, and then I'll show you the lift that's been achieved by using this organic colorant. Now you can see the effect that those FD&C colours have had on my base product. Hopefully you can see the dramatic lift, the real wow factor that they've brought to this particular product. Now I've only just added that one colorant. I'm going to show you now. We're going to just have a quick look, only taking small samples each time, and have a look how it compares to the original benchmark. And I can see I've got the amount of pigment just about right, but there's not enough sparkle, there's not enough silver effect, so I need to add some more of that, and I also need to add some more of the red sparkle to bring me back a little bit pinker. It'll bring me back that little bit pinker from the very bright orange shade that I have here. So I'm going to add a little bit more of each of these colorants, and then we'll see how it's starting to look. Okay, so I've added some more silver and gold sparkle, and what you'll see now, it's starting to look very much like our benchmark product. It's time to now start comparing with the skin on the inside of my arm using vertical strokes, as you've learnt. So I'm going to take a small amount of benchmark product, and I'm going to then take a small amount of my product and compare. Now they're pretty close. In terms of gloss, in terms of sheen, they're very, very close. I'm not going to alter that. In terms of lift, they're also very similar coral orange effects. But this one here is still missing some opacity. It's still missing some of that background color. So I'm going to add some more of the red sparkle that's then going to give me more of a block effect and hopefully get me to just the right shade as my benchmark. Without even mixing it through, you can see just how much effect such a small addition of the red sparkle is having to the colour of my base product. This looks like we're going to get it right. Now, here it is with all the components that I've added so far. It's looking pretty close to our benchmark. Let's have a look on the skin. Okay, so there is the benchmark product, there's my product, and we have a match. To finish this sample, I now need to add up all the pigment I've put into this product. I then need to calculate how much mica I need to make this product equal 100%. Add the mica, stir that in, and as a final check, I would then heat this up slightly to pour it into lipstick molds, and then I would compare it with an actual stick of the benchmark product on the forearm to make sure I have got exactly the right intensity in terms of payoff, spread, the colour, the gloss, to make sure I have got an exact match. I would then repeat the process from scratch with exact amounts so that I'm not taking small amounts each time, just to validate the amounts I've added, ready for scale up. Now we've got various raw material brochures, supplier information as part of your learning materials. So today you've seen how we can determine which pigments we need to use to create different colours. We've talked about how we need to vary the amount of shimmer or sparkle we might use to create different gloss or sparkle effects in product. We've looked at the actual colour matching process from the start, determining the pigments, adding extra because we need more opacity, because we need more lift. And then we've looked at the actual colour matching process by applying the product onto the arm and making small adjustments until we get the right match. Make sure you refer to your learning materials and your Dropbox folder for those brochures, and hopefully you've now discovered how to colour match. The best thing you can do now is to get into your lab and practice, because it takes a lot of experience to be able to colour match, select pigments and create a matched shade in as few steps as I have done. Please don't feel bad if it takes you a lot longer in the first instance and when you're learning. It's the process I want to make sure you have correct. Well, I hope you've enjoyed playing with colour just as much as I have. It's an absolutely fantastic way to spend a day at work, but do be prepared to get your hands dirty, and happy formulating.